what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it.
I mean, this game on Saturday, dude. This game on Saturday. Interestingly, I don't know that I have I don't know if I'm like discovering that maybe I do have some sort of more natural hate towards Ole Miss, the A&M. I don't know if it's like, being raised by my grandfather, who was a big piss on Ole Miss guy. And that was like his kind of number one arch enemy, right up there with probably Tulane, actually. But I don't feel as, right now at least, I don't feel as emotionally as insane. But the adrenaline in my body, I am trying to hold at bay because Saturday night is going to be an unbelievable setting. And the stakes could not be higher. I mean, Billy Lucci, if you listened yesterday, he called it the biggest game since Texas A&M joined the SEC. And how could it not be? A&M's played in a lot of games that were hyped up early on in the season.
Yeah.
But because they've kind of consistently fell short of their expectations around this time of year, getting into November, around Halloween, where, the spooky stuff happens and championships start to be created, like they've been pretty irrelevant for the most part, really outside of 2020. And so for this game to feature the only two teams that are undefeated in the SEC, and two teams that if you win have relatively friendly remaining schedules. Like if you win this game, you will be in the driver's seat for definitely a playoff spot and probably an SEC championship appearance, a chance to go to Atlanta and try to lift that trophy and get a bye. I mean, and then if you lose this game, well, the door is not shut, but everything is significantly harder, and there is no margin of error. So it is a massive setting, and it's going to be at night in one of the premier stadiums in all of college football. They're going to be wearing the black uniforms. They're calling it blackout, and the cult is all going to wear black. It's going to be very well executed. And then LSU deciding yesterday that they will be running it back with the all-whites. So you want to talk about symbolism. We have a literal battle of good versus evil, the light versus the dark. This small force of the rebellion in LSU going into the Death Star that is Kyle Field, black as pitch, and going to be looking to go on their own trench run and find a way to win again on the road. I mean, this is college football at its absolute best this Saturday.
Yeah, when you look at the 2020 schedule, there we go. That was a great year for them, but they lost early to Alabama. Then it was kind of weird. It was COVID years, so they had games canceled. They had games on their schedule where they would go like 3 weeks without playing. I think it was one time. Ole Miss canceled their game, and so it was hard to build the momentum that you're talking about and what Billy's talking about yesterday. And so, this is – that poor phone. This is their biggest game since they've joined the SEC. And it's a great point by you because it's so deep into the season. They used to play Alabama early.
Yeah, and that was always a big deal, but it didn't have the stakes.
Yeah, so even when they beat them, it still didn't have the meaning that this one potentially could have for them. Like whatever Kyle Fields' peak is, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be at its absolute peak. It's nighttime. They're going to have all day to get, hydrated and ready to go and practice all their yells. Well, even though they'll do that for 2 days. They'll do it, the day before and game day. And so you're going to have to deal with a lot. And that's really, honestly, like one of my biggest concerns for LSU is being able offensively to get the ball snapped.
I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's been a consistent problem all year long, and this is not – I mean, this is going to be a setting that they have not seen and will not see, not just this year, but like potentially years. This is the sort of setting Saturday night where you get done playing, and let's say you played 4 years, 5 years, and this was the craziest setting that you ever played in the 4 to 5 years. And so in a lot of ways, it's almost the inverse of how I thought about the Ole Miss game going in, which I don't know if that concerns you, but it's like, I thought Ole Miss was maybe slightly a better team at the time. I don't know if I still believe that, but that's what I thought going into the Ole Miss game. I thought they were slightly a better team, but it was very close, and you were going to have one of the greatest stadiums in the entire country in Death Valley at its maximum potential. Well, in this case, I think LSU is slightly better than Texas A&M. We talked about it all yesterday. You have a massive advantage at quarterback. Defensively, I think both teams are really good. A&M has not seen an offense like LSU, but LSU, I mean, technically, this is the best rushing team they faced, even with beating Arkansas. But we can go through all the matchups again. But the point is, I think that LSU is a slightly better team, but A&M now is the one who's going to have one of the greatest stadiums in all of college football at its absolute peak potential, and that's going to be tough to overcome. Unless A&M gets too tight, maybe if we just want to go full hopeful homer here, maybe A&M, maybe the setting gets a bit too big for Wigman. I know Nuss can handle the heat.
Yeah.
We know that. I don't know about Connor yet.
A&M running the football has been really good, but this is – so 3 weeks in a row, you're going to face the number 2, 3, and 4 rushing teams in the SEC.
I know.
So, to your point, it's not a homer take. It's just the facts of that's who you faced, and you did a really nice job against the first two. Now, A&M is number 2, Ole Miss is 3, Arkansas is 4, but you did a really nice job. It was my key to the game against Ole Miss, and I know you let a couple of big hitters, but for the majority of the game, you kept that Ole Miss rushing attack really, to a low standard for them.
Yes.
They had some success, but they run for 200 yards per game.
Yeah.
And so can you do it again? And can you do it enough where Connor Wegman has to go out there and he's the reason that A&M could potentially win? Can he make the plays? Can the receivers make the catches? That's what this game's going to come down to.
It feels I was talking to my guy SEC Mike yesterday, who does that SEC podcast. Really good show with him and cousin Shane. Y'all should go check out. But and I was like, I don't want to be lazy in my analysis, but no, this is the third game in a row in which the key defensively is stop the run. And put it in the quarterback's hands. With Jackson Dart, that felt very intimidating, but Jackson Dart has not looked like Jackson Dart since a good competition started. With Taylon Green, I thought for sure that would be a path to success, but Taylon Green actually ended up looking a little better than I maybe thought he would when you put the game in his hands, and he had a lot of plays going early on. It's just that Whit Weeks made a better play. And then again, it's just what Jake talked about. Stop the run here, put it in Wigman's hand, and, like we said, 3 games against Power 4 opponents for Wigman. Notre Dame, awful. Mizzou, awesome. Mississippi State last week, somewhere in the middle, depending on how you want to interpret it. And so that's your best path to victory. And you know what? If you stop the run and Wigman just balls out and beats you, then maybe that's just where you have to tip the cap. What you cannot do is get overly concerned about him and let Le'Veon Moss beat you. Any good coach, good team, good players, you never want to let a team beat you with their strength, ideally. Now, sometimes if they're just too strong or too good at that portion of the game, that they're just able to overcome you, right? But the goal is to never let a guy beat you with his dominant hand. And without a doubt, A&M's dominant hand is that rushing attack led by Le'Veon Moss.
I don't think there's any question about it. He is going to be the player that you absolutely can't allow to beat you. He's a hell of a running back. He's mean, nasty, tough, all those things you love in a good SEC running back. And Baton Rouge, you know him.
Walker,
he's right. He's right down. He's right down the street, right? And so he's going to be motivated to play against LSU. It's the team he grew up watching. He is one of the better offensive players in the entire league. And so I'm curious how they're going to try to play A&M, just as far as how they align, how aggressive are they going to be. Last week, they tried to keep everything in front of them. That's what they wanted to be. And, it worked. They slow played it a little bit, but at the end, it worked. Are they going to be the more aggressive team? They're going to play some run coverages.
I wonder, man. The biggest advantage for LSU here, A&M's pass defense has not been good, and that's with a good pass rush. So what happens when this elite LSU offensive line completely nullifies the rush and those DBs just got to win? I think that's what I'm looking forward to. And obviously that's where Nuss playing mistake-free on the road, which is very tough to do. That'll be as important as anything here because that's going to be A&M's greatest hope to stopping it because they're not going to be able to consistently cover you. So if they can kill a couple of possessions with turnovers, like that's their path. That's their avenue to stopping this offense. If they don't force any turnovers, let's hope A&M can keep up offensively because I believe LSU is going to put up points.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.